I recently asked which of 3 recipes that I had tested you wanted to see first, and the overwhelming majority of you chose this. These are my chocolate peanut butter protein bars, easy to make and packed with protein. And unlike store-bought, you'll know exactly what's gone into them. So if you'd like to see how these are made, stick around because it's coming up next. Hello and welcome to my journey. My name is Roy. I'm a home cook and amateur baker, and I am here on this channel sharing recipes that can help me on a weight loss journey and hopefully you as well. Now recently I posted on Facebook and talked about it in my weigh-in video that I had experimented on 3 recipes in a day. So I asked everyone what you wanted to see first: the chocolate peanut butter protein bars, the zucchini bread, or the white bean Alfredo sauce. Well, number 1, and it beat the others by a pretty good margin, was the chocolate peanut butter protein bars. Second was the white bean Alfredo, so you will see that next Friday, and then the zucchini bread will be the following Friday after that. Now, these are protein bars, but they're not going to be like the protein bars you get at the store where they're like candy. These come out more like a baked good because we are going to be baking them in the oven. So don't expect it to be like the candy bar kind of things that you get at the store. That is not what I'm giving you. But they will give you a lot of protein, so if that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place. All right, so let us go over the ingredients. I have here my cooking spray. I have a 9x5 loaf pan. That is what I'm going to be baking this in. I tried it in slightly larger pans and it just got too thin. So I thought it was perfect in the loaf pan. But we're gonna need to spray that. I'm also going to line mine with parchment, like make a little parchment sling, and I'll show you how I do that. But I just find it easier to remove them that way, but you probably don't even need it, just the cooking spray should do. Here I have 1 cup of quick cooking oats. Now I mentioned this before recently in my strawberry banana oat muffin recipe, that quick oats are not the same as instant oats that you get in the packet. Quick cooking oats are usually found in a canister just like old-fashioned oats. Now if you can't find quick cooking oats, or you are already home, you don't want to go out just for quick cooking oats and you already have old-fashioned oats, what you can do is just blitz them a few times in the food processor, a mini food processor, and just get them chopped up a little bit. You don't have to get them chopped too finely. However, if you do want a finer texture on these protein bars, you can grind that down to a powder to make a flour, or just buy some oat flour and use that. Here I have 2/3 of a cup of chocolate protein powder. Now I'm using Premier Protein. That took about 3 of their scoops. So that is what I'm basing the nutrition facts, is using the Premier Protein powder. Make sure you input whatever protein powder you are using. Now you can play around with the protein powder. If you don't want chocolate and peanut butter, you just want more peanut butter, use some vanilla, or maybe there's a peanut butter protein powder that I'm not aware of. So you can change up that flavor if you want, but I'm doing chocolate peanut butter, so that's what I'm using. Here I have 1/2 cup of unsweetened applesauce. Now you can swap that out for some pumpkin puree or mashed banana. If you do use mashed banana, banana tends to impart its flavor a little bit more than the other 2, but you can easily use that as well. Here I have 2 eggs, and those are at room temperature. Here I have 1/4 cup of powdered peanut butter. I'm using PB Fit, but you could use PB2 or whatever you typically use. But make sure you input it into the recipe builder just to make sure your bites or points are accurate. Here I have 1/4 cup of plain non-fat Greek yogurt, and that's going to help to give us a bit more moisture in this. Here I have 2 tablespoons of sugar replacement. I'm using the all-purpose and the raw, but you can use whichever one you like. Here I have 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. That's just going to give this a little lift and help these not to be too dense. Here I have 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and vanilla is often used even if you're using chocolate. just because it does kind of like marry the flavors. It kind of helps everybody harmonize. So having it in there does help, but you could change out the extract flavoring as well if you wanted. All right, so those are all of the ingredients. Let me shuffle a few things around and we'll get started. The first thing I'm going to show you is how I line my loaf pan with parchment. Now I've already sprayed it with some cooking spray because I want something for that parchment paper to stick to. If you just put it in there without the cooking spray, it tends to slide a little bit. So this will give us a little insurance. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the edge of the loaf pan and I'm going to put it down against the edge of the parchment paper. And then I'm going to just cut in to match this edge as well. Now that I've done that, I can remove that, fold this up and match that line. That'll make it much easier for me to follow along and cut a fairly straight line. I don't guarantee it's going to be fully straight, but you know, I do the best I can. So just cut that down the line, and then I'm going to take the long piece that we just cut, the skinny one, and put it in the pan lengthwise and make sure it sticks into the corners. Then I'm going to spray a little bit of cooking spray on top of the parchment paper in the center, because when we put this other piece in, we're going to want this to stick into place as well. So just stick that in, and then you're going to have a lot of overhang, but that's fine. That'll help you to get these out later. So there you have it. It's not going to slide around when you try to put the batter in, and that is exactly what we're looking for. So now we're going to bring in a medium bowl, and we're going to mix together first the dry ingredients. The oats, protein powder, powdered peanut butter, sugar replacement, and baking powder, and just give that a good whisk. We're just trying to get everything well dispersed in here and get those oats spread throughout that protein powder and peanut butter powder. And you may have to break up that peanut butter powder a little bit. Sometimes it does like to clump, but just mix this together about 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be too insanely mixed in. You just want everything fairly well combined, and that looks good right there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add in the eggs, applesauce, Greek yogurt, and vanilla, and use a spatula, break up those eggs a little bit before you try mixing them in. And then I usually mix all of the wet things together right in the center there, just to get those eggs broken up as much as I can. And then I will start to incorporate the rest of the dry ingredients in here. And just go around the sides of the bowl to make sure you're getting everything in. And because there's no flour in this, you don't have to worry about developing gluten and making these dense and tough. So don't worry about over mixing. But you just want to get this all together. And again, that took about 30 seconds. So these come together pretty quickly. All right, so now I will bring in our prepared pan, and I'm going to pour our batter right into the pan, and then I'm going to shake the pan a little bit to get that evenly distributed, and then I like to tap it a few times just to get any air bubbles to come up. All right, so now this is going into a 350-degree oven for anywhere from 22 to 26 minutes. I will probably check them around 18 minutes. Now you want to bake these until a toothpick comes out clean, but it can be a little deceptive with this one because it will come out looking clean, but when you touch it, it can be very tacky. So what you want to do is just feel the toothpick as well. And once, there can be a little bit of tackiness, but as long as it's not overly sticky, you're fine. But 22 to 26 minutes, and I will be back. Okay, so there we have them, my chocolate peanut butter protein bars. They look almost like a bread right now, but they are not as soft and fluffy as a bread. Now, as usual, we have to let those sit in the pan for about 10 minutes, let them set, and then we will remove it onto the cooling rack so it can cool completely before we cut into it. But I do have some left from my previous batch, and I figured I could at least show you what one of them looks like. It looks almost like a biscotti. That's what Paul said. This is what it looks like. That's the serving size that you would get, making 8 bars. Now you could, if you wanted to bump up your protein a little bit more, you could cut them into 6 bars, and it would increase the protein by 5 grams. It would also increase the calories by about 50. but still, I don't think it's too bad. Now, one thing I have noticed with these is the next day, they can get a little drier because that protein powder, I think, is soaking up moisture in there. All you have to do is microwave it for about 10 seconds and it softens right back up. It doesn't get hard, it just gets a little drier than it will be today. But you can store these in an airtight container on the counter for 3 to 4 days or in the refrigerator for up to a week. But it's nice to have a little protein snack on hand. And you know exactly what's gone into it, so it's not those processed things that you get at the store. But as you saw, it's also not like the chewy candy type of bar, but it will give you plenty of protein. So what are those nutrition facts? Well, for one bar serving 8, this is going to be 2 better balanced bites, but because of the oats in here, if you're on WW and following their points, it should be 1 point. Now again, I'm approximating the WW points based on their 0-point foods. So that is what I got when I deleted the oats from the recipe builder or turned them into 0 bites so that I could check and see what it would be without them. So it should be 1 for WW. Now, if you were following calories, the calories for one of these would be 147. And if you are following macros, the fat would be 3.4 grams. Saturated fat would be 0.7 grams. Protein would be 15.1 grams. Carbs would be 16.1 grams. Fiber would be 2.8 grams. And sugars would also be 2.8 grams for one of these if you make 8 bars. Now, as I said, if you made 6, the protein would jump up to 20 grams and the calories would come in just under 200 at about 196. Still not too bad if you need to up your protein even more. But there you have it, my recipe for chocolate peanut butter protein bars. Now, of course, the recipe will be linked directly down in the description box. I'll also have the link to my blog down there. There are also ways that you can contact me through social media, email. There's a link to my cookbook, to my Amazon storefront, to my 2 stores, Forest Wall and Zazzle. So check out that description box for all sorts of information. If you like this recipe and this video, whether you were someone who voted for protein bars or not, then don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit that notification bell for the next time I upload any sort of video. All right, so it's been roughly 10 minutes. I'm gonna take these out just so you can see what they look like when they come out and how easily they come out. With this sling, you can just pull up, take them out, and there you have it. I'm going to take them off of the parchment, and then I'm going to let them cool completely before I cut into them. If you're looking for a way to add more protein to your diet, these are perfect, and you know exactly what's gone into them. So I hope you give them a try, and until next time, bye.